So Amy Braun is currently a preschool teacher in Nagoya, and she has been teaching young children for 10 years. She enjoys finding organic ways to teach English to children. And she will be talking about how can students produce their own storytelling. So Amy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the room host today. Thank you everyone for joining me on a rainy Sunday afternoon. It is rainy here in Nagoya, and just 1 hour ago, it was raining a lot. So thank you for joining. Just a few reminders. Like the room host has said, video and audio, video, this will be recorded, and please mute your mics, just in case. If you have any questions or any comments, you're allowed to say. Please give me comments or questions throughout the presentation. Please use the chat box. I will be looking at that during the presentation and after the presentation. Hopefully we will have 5 to 10 minutes to have a Q&A and just talk. Yeah, share ideas with me and resources. I always love to learn. And thanks to each day, and I also in Jolt, I have gone and get so many wonderful ideas from ETJ and members like you. So please share ideas and resources. Everybody will enjoy these ideas. And let me just share my screen. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see it. Let me start the slideshow. Okay, there you go. Hopefully you guys can see the slideshow. If you can't, just let me know. Thank you. I got a thumbs up. Today we're going to talk about how can students produce their own storytelling. This is different than there's another one about storytelling, about storybooks later on this afternoon, but this is about how can students take a hold of their own storytelling. How can they produce their own language, learn, and just take ownership of that story? The teacher kind of like is involved, but not the students are the masters. So like the room host has said, my name is Amy Braun. I've been teaching in international preschool for about 7 years. I came to Japan in 2012 as an ALT, and then I did a Kaiwa. And then in 2015, I started to do international preschool. And I usually just teach preschool, and then I teach some after school classes, and usually it's preschool, yochien classes, and elementary students, young elementary students. I rarely get adults. I rarely get junior high students these days. I have a QR link on the side. Please fill out the survey. It will help me to better my presentation, even on Zoom and on in person, and make these presentations worthwhile. Thank you so much. This QR link will be shared throughout the presentation and at the end, so you won't miss it. Before we start, I just introduced myself. In the chat box, can you tell me who you are, where you're from, what do you teach, and what do you want to learn today? Just let me know in the chat box. We're going to take about a minute or two to see your responses. Sorry, let me just get to. Let me stop that. Let me see. Any responses? Just about a minute. Just let me know who you are, where you're from, what do you teach, and what do you want to learn today? Mie! Hey, Katie, thank you. Mie, we're like kind of neighbors here. I live in Aichi, so. Puffin, I work with small kids and I'm looking for new ideas. That's great. Owen. Hi, Owen. Okay. Ah, Shimane. I want to go to Shimane. That's a place I really want to go. After Corona, I want to go to Shimane. There's Ellie from the Philippines. Thank you. And she's from Tokyo. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Ellie. And there's Lisa and Anik. Oh, Anik from Holland. And Lisa from Sakai City. Yokohama. Oh, and Daniel is from Teach Uni. Nice, nice. Oh, Hakaba. Nice, nice, nice. Thank you so much for you guys for sharing, introducing yourself. I love to know who's watching my presentations and know a little bit about yourself. My next question is, can you tell me what is storytelling? In the chat box, can you tell me what is storytelling? What do you think storytelling is? Give you a minute or two in the chat box. Just tell me, in your own idea or your own opinion, what is storytelling? Or a production of a story. Yuji says, storytelling is or a production of a story. That's a nice answer. What else? Any other ideas? Owen says, creating a narrative that moves from one scene to another with a coherent voice. That's a nice answer. Nice, nice. Any others? Give you a little bit more time. Ellie says, storytelling is transforming words into a magical word. I love that magical word. That's a lovely one. I need to move on. Thank you for your answers. You can still tell me some answers in the chat, but we're kind of tight on time. Let me just start to share my screen again. Oh, hey, Scott. Thank you, Scott, for joining me from Kobe. Okay. There you go. Let me just go to slideshow. It's loading. Okay, thank you so much for your answers. What is storytelling? National Geography defines storytelling as storytelling is the act of telling or writing stories or narratives. Typically, stories are told for entertainment or informational. We tell stories all the time. We probably told a story today. It doesn't have to be once upon a time or there was a princess, or it doesn't have to be fiction. We tell stories. Hey, tomorrow we're going to tell a story when we enter the office building. We will be like, what did you do this weekend? That's a story. You're recalling events during your weekend. Oh, I did this, I did that. That's a story. That's the first thing I ask on a Monday morning. Hey guys, what did you do? That's recalling. That's a story. Storytelling has been in our lives, in the world's lives since the beginning of time. First it was oral, then we had writing, and then we have pictures. We have so many versions. It's a very ancient art form. As you see, there's different kinds of storytelling. I got this neat graphic that tells there's different kinds. There's communication, emotion, share, creative, content, history, experience, marketing. So there's different areas of how to tell a story and how to categorize a story. Today we're going to talk more about maybe creative, but you could do experience too. We're going to tell more creative because I work with kids who are younger, preschool kids and young elementary students who have more imaginative minds, who are more creative. But you could apply these techniques to experience or history, context, or emotion. I don't think marketing kids, I don't think kids don't know marketing, but marketing is a storytelling. So there's six types of storytelling. Those oral, we know oral. Like I said, we have oral speaking, or also recollection, like what did you do this weekend? Did you ever see this? Have you ever experienced this? This is probably the most basic thing we ever type of storytelling we use in our classroom. Because have you ever experienced this? Have you ever had, how do you feel about it? We use emotion, we use history, we use context, and we maybe use creative. And then we have artistic, which, sorry, I'm not in order, but we have artistic, and that's where we perform on stage. I have kids who do plays. We do plays probably once every season. Maybe we do a performance in front of the parents, or we in a classroom. I say, okay, kids, perform Three Little Pigs. They know Three Little Pigs so much that they can take that and perform it themselves. But also, artistic is not just acting; it's dancing or singing. And then we have visual, which is next to the artistic, and visual storytelling is important for communication and probably the stepping stone of storytelling. We use picture books. We use picture books in the classroom to tell a story to young learners. They visualize and they understand the story while we read the words. That's how they can connect the story at first. So visual storytelling with picture books is a very key part of storytelling, as it's the first step. Then we have digital storytelling, like this is the newest one, VR, virtual reality. That is another world of storytelling. It combines the art of storytelling with images, music, and video. Meta is a key example of creating a digital storytelling. And then we have transmedia. Oh, there's reading. Sorry, I didn't talk about reading. Reading is books, and we write stories down. Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts is Harry Potter, but the books we read, those are written storytelling. Then there's transmedia, and transmedia probably this is a big project idea. This is probably for junior high school, maybe, or high school. Transmedia is where it's not just one form of storytelling. It's on a spectrum of all media. It's not just one media, it's on a variety of media. For example, Pokemon. Pokemon is a transmedia storytelling. You have the storytelling in video games, cartoons, there was a musical, and then the ownership also not just video games, but phone games. And the ownership isn't just on somebody who's behind the computer or making the game. You take the ownership too, like Pokemon Go. You create the Pokemon story. You catch your own Pokemon. You go around the city and you catch your own Pokemon. That's taking ownership of your own storytelling. So transmedia is on all spectrums of media: TV, video games, now computers and phones, and different types of ownerships of storytelling. Why is storytelling important in the classroom, especially when kids get to experience and tell their own stories? It's nice that we as teachers tell them stories. I tell them stories a lot, but I think the bread and butter of a class is when the kids are able to tell me their stories. Giving students the powers to create and tell their own stories in the classrooms helps them to enhance listening skills, phonics, and vocabulary. Kindles creativity and imagination. Boosts students' interest in reading. Stories aids early acquisition of language chunks. For example, that one. Story aids early acquisition of language chunk. The Hungry Caterpillar. On Monday, he ate one apple. On Tuesday, he ate two pears. These, you see, there's a pattern going on that talks about that you can use in the classroom to help achieve language chunks. My favorite story, my favorite series is Pete the Cat. I hope you guys know Pete Cat. Pete Cat is a cute little cat who has adventures, and it's a whole series. There's a lot of different kinds of language chunks. Like I just read Pete the Cat and his white shoes. There's a repetitive language chunk. I like my white shoes. I like my blue shoes. I like my brown shoes. I like you see there's a language chunk, so you can use that in your AKIO lessons or your English lessons, so kids can understand, and they pick up on the language chunks pretty easily. If it's repetitive, they pick it up and they repeat it. By the end of my stories, most of my Pete the Cat is singing. So I love my white shoes. I love my blue shoes. The kids can sing back by the end of this lesson. And then it helps contextualize language effectively in an authentic way. Sorry, I have Kindle creativity, and I have another one again. I want to skip that. Helps students to learn new things in other subjects. So here's some examples. Here's some examples on students using storytelling in their own way. There's a QR code. Again, if you are just joining, there's a QR code to help me. It's a survey to help me grade my presentation and see what can I improve. So there's a QR code again. So here's some examples that I use in the classroom. Now, I have the examples are primarily for preschool students, probably 4 to 5, when they start to use language in the classroom and they can express themselves. And then young elementary, but these examples you can use for older elementary students, junior high students, maybe high school, maybe university. It's how you fit that activity for your students. How do you adjust it? That's the key of how you can teach this in a meaningful way. So one example is story maps. This is really easy, but it helps kids to understand beginning, middle, and end. And this helps me a lot because it teaches them starting to teach how to write. Someday, hopefully, maybe in 2 years, they can start writing stories. There's a beginning and a middle and an end. This really helps this, and this is an example of what I did. I didn't have my student. I didn't take a picture of my students one. I just forgot to do this, but I drew this one. This is my example that I drew on paint yesterday. There's a beginning. This is the Hungry Caterpillar. So there's a beginning. There's the Hungry Caterpillar. He's hungry. He's young. And then the middle, that's the problem. The beginning is where you introduce the character. What does he want? What does it want? What's the need? In the middle, this is the problem. What's wrong? What's going to happen? He's hungry. He hurt. He has a stomach ache. And then at the end, he becomes a butterfly. Maybe mine's a butterfly, but my students, there's no correct answer. There's maybe a correct way, but one of my students said at the end he ate a green leaf and then he became a butterfly. So that's fine for me. With this, I also took this a step higher, and I kind of drew this in their sketchbooks, and I had them write a sentence of what they think each part was, like what was the beginning, what was the middle, and what was the end. My kids who are 5, they can start writing basic sentences. So and then they presented it. I use the Hungry Caterpillar because the Hungry Caterpillar for Japanese and English learners, it's probably a lot of Japanese know the Hungry Caterpillar. So it's an easy story that they know, and they know in English, they know in Japanese, so it's easy story for them to recollect. Role playing, I have the 1, 2, 3s of D&D. Role playing is a wonderful way for kids to use their own storytelling. D&D, I don't know if anybody has played D&D. Sorry, I have only 10 minutes, but D&D is where you can make your own stories. You have an adventure. What are you? What's your characters? What's your adventure? What's your goal? This is a example. This is not D&D, but this is more programming. But programming also is a storytelling, role playing. I had this is easy, like role playing. The duck wants to go get the pear. He faces obstacles. What are you supposed to do? This is role playing. We use in our classroom like a game board to help them visualize the path to the castle. Oh, the princess needs to be saved. Okay, you guys, you're warriors. You have to use the path to go to get the princess. Oh no, there's an ogre. Oh no, there's a lake. But they can kind of visualize it too. They make their own characters, their own situations. Acting, like I said, I had them use 3 Little Pigs, use common stories they know, and we act them out. We had props, we had costumes. Costumes, I just had paper masks. Props, just anything in the classroom or in the school. Okay, guys, tell me the story of 3 Little Pigs, and I acted out. It's really nice to see that they take the story in their own way. They don't repeat what I said word by word. They take the story and make it their own. They add their own isms. It's beautiful. Retelling a story with toys and props. One story, like again, I took the 100 caterpillar. Okay, kids, tell me. Okay, let's make a caterpillar. We made a caterpillar out of like, what was it? Like paper balls, glued them together. Okay, what was he hungry for? Oh, here's the apple. Okay, so Rio-chan, can you get the caterpillar to eat the apple? How does he feel? So retelling the stories, like the 3 Little Pigs make the houses out of sticks or bricks or anything. So just retelling stories with props, kind of like playing house, almost like acting or playing house, but telling story. Pass the story around. You give a sentence. This might be upper elementary, upper kindergarten or lower elementary. The kids give a sentence. Once upon a time, another kid goes on and gives another sentence. It's a group activity where people can create stories together, and it's a class story time. So it's a group effort. Everyone's listening. They have to listen so they can understand. I'm next. Let me know the story so I can kind of be on the same page. Story dice or story cubes. Generally, these are dices that you roll. There's 5, usually 5, or you can add more or add less, and you get pictures, and the students have to tell you a story using those pictures. There's once upon a time there was a moon and a shooting star, and I saw with my beautiful eye an arrow going across the sky. and those are the pictures you can use. Those are the kind of stories you can use. This is story dice. It's really nice in the classroom. Book creator. This is my student made a book. I have to quickly go. We have only like 5 minutes. My student made a book. Sorry. So quick, sorry. My student made a book. He made his own story and then he drew pictures. And now my screen is like this, but sorry. This was month. I don't know. I hope you can see it. This was a month, and he just made the story. We discussed the story mapping, beginning, middle, and end. He created the story. He made the pictures. This is a really good book creator. Is kind of, I think, sponsored by Google. And it's where kids can create their own books. It's a great tool to use in the classroom. Okay, that's it for my presentation. Sorry, I had to rush at the end because I only have like 5 more minutes for questions. Do you have any questions? Here's the QR link again for the survey. Please fill the survey out so I can get feedback for presentations so I can better myself. There you go. I got 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the chats now.
Thank you very much, Amy. That was really interesting.
Thank you. So Puffin has said, there's a question from Puffin. Do you use this like a mini book report? I love that kids can draw pictures instead of worrying about writing. Yes, that is what I do. My kids can't write. They can't write. They're 5 years old, so they can't really write a book report. So using pictures, they can draw. They are beautiful drawers. So using pictures help them to recollect the stories. Okay, and Ellie said, I agree. I was thinking of giving my students a reading assignment for summer. This one is pretty good. I will try it. Okay, does anybody have any more questions, comments, concerns?
You may also ask questions by raising your hand or using the raise hand button.
Yes, or unmute. You can unmute if you want. Can you wait? Just wait 1 minute. I have the delivery guy. Sorry. Apparently the delivery guy came at the same time as this. How do you use the story dice? So Owen asked, how did you use the story dice? You get these dices and you usually use 5. You can buy them online, but there's actually if you type Google, you can use an app on your phone or iPad, or there's a website where you can like kind of get 5 dices and you can have the kids press the dice and have the image pop up. So you get 5 dices and there's images on those dices and the kids look at them and they have to tell a story using those images.
I'm sorry, Amy, we can't see your video.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Maybe you were showing the dice.
No, I wasn't. Sorry. But if you go on, if you look it up, you can actually there's a website where you can just use them in your classroom. And if you have like an iPad, you can just have the kids touch it and they can use, they just use the pictures featured in, the pictures featured on those 5 dices, and they have to create a story using those pictures.
So they can make an online version, or you can also make your own version, right? Like
yes,
creating a real dice.
Yeah, you actually can. Yeah, you can also make your own dice. You can get some dice from maybe Daiso, big fluffy dices from Daiso, just cover them with images that you think are appropriate for your kids and just have them roll the dice and make their own story. That's a great idea. I think that's it for questions. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming out on this rainy Sunday, and thank you for for listening to my presentation. Thank you for the room host. Thank you, and thank you guys for coming out. Thank you. I'm gonna turn it back to the room host. Thank you so much.